It's time for another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com, or if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, that is Tar Heel Illustrated. And if you're not on our website, head on over there, TarHeelIllustrated.com. For just $8.33 a month, you can be a Tar Heel insider too and hang out on a fast-growing community of Carolina fans. If you want to be with people who are like you and care passionately and deeply about the Tar Heels, our message boards are the place to be. I'm flying solo with you guys here on this drop, and I'm doing it Tuesday evening. I was over in Chapel Hill earlier today, and after practice, it was a scheduled post-practice Q&A session with football coach Mack Brown. And afterward, after he updated us on some team-related things and how their Tar Heels are doing through 12 days of fall camp, Brown then went into several minutes about the Tez Walker situation. And to catch you up, if you're not too sure about what the Tez Walker situation is, in a nutshell, it's this. He transferred from Kent State after spending a year at North Carolina Central, but did not play there. The school canceled football because of COVID. So Walker transfers to Kent State. After 2 seasons, he transfers to North Carolina. He enrolled in school January 9th, and then on January 11th, the NCAA changed its rule, going back to the old transfer rule where you'd have to sit out a year. They're calling him a 2-time transfer. So an issue for UNC is that Walker is not a 2-time transfer. He's a 1-time transfer because there was no football at North Carolina Central the year that he was there. And number 2, 2 days after he enrolled in classes and went ahead and uprooted and changed his life, the NCAA changes the rule and doesn't grandfather clause him in. Number 3, the aspect of being close to home, close to family. His grandmother's ill. She's never seen him play before, although she did attend the spring game back in April, and he wants to be closer to home. The NCAA has been approving all of those waivers in recent years. And the 4th thing is mental health. And I think this is the area where Mack Brown and Jeremy Sharp, who's the head of branding over there at the UNC football program, where I think that their strategy is brilliant. And I'm not saying that they're using a strategy, let's see how we can get this done. What they're doing is they're laying out the facts as they are, but they're making a point about mental health because it's sort of a gray area in college athletics, especially with respect to the NCAA. As Mack Brown pointed out when he made his public plea to NCAA President Charlie Baker, hey, you guys are sitting in a room up there in Indianapolis. None of you know who Tez Walker is other than this information. You've never talked to him. You've never talked to his family. You haven't talked to anybody from Kent State. You haven't even talked to Mack Brown. And what's interesting here is Kent State has sent a letter to the NCAA on behalf of Tez Walker saying this is a mental health issue. He needed to be closer to his grandmother. He needed to make this move. He was in good standing at Kent State academically. And a lot of his coaches left as well. So kids are getting waivers all over the place when coaches leave. The offensive staff left at Kent State. He's got the grandmother issue. And he made this move before the rule was changed, so it should not have affected him. Not often do you get kids that are highly productive that leave a school and go somewhere else, essentially to better their football fortunes. Does the previous school actually operate on their behalf? But Kent State feels so strongly about Tez Walker and about the mission here to get him eligible that the school has been outstanding in working with UNC and with Walker and trying to get this done. Now, watching Mack do this, he's so good at it, guys. I mean, some people say, well, he's sort of like an old, like a politician from a long time ago on the stump back in the day when they would stand on something, elevate above a crowd, and they would do their political speech. Mack is very good at addressing a crowd, but he's got tremendous leg to stand on in this case. To me, it's a slam dunk thing. He believes it's a slam dunk thing. And a week ago, they got it out there. So the free Tez stuff circulated on social media. A lot of national media wrote about it and talked about it. Now he's made a direct plea to Charlie Baker. Baker is a former governor of Massachusetts, had a successful run there. When he was hired to replace Mark Emmert, everything was positive. I've talked to Mack Brown about Charlie Baker before, and everybody only heard positives. He's a guy who can legislate. He's a guy who can get things done. He's not a paper pusher. He's someone that can help them if and when the time comes, the NCAA needs to get stuff done in Washington, D.C. So it's a good hire. And he's also, as a politician, as a governor, having to work with both sides of the aisle. There's a little bit of wheeling and dealing there, understanding that you got to give a little bit and you got to take a little bit in order to get things done sometimes. Now, Brown can't just pick up the phone and call Baker at this time. Now, I don't know if ethics are involved there, but that's not something that he's going to do. And as Mack joked earlier Tuesday, no one's going to take his call anyway. The case has been made. The appeal case has been made by UNC. But he's making this public plea to Baker. It's going to be written about. It's going to be talked about. Baker's going to see this, and he is setting a new tone for the NCAA. So he has the authority to step in and say, hey, wait a minute. Let's take a closer look at this case. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe we should talk to the young man who's in this situation. Hey, wait a minute. Maybe I should listen to Mack Brown. There's no rule that says he can't do that. So I think Brown and Jeremy Sharp approaching this the way that they did Tuesday is brilliant. I think it's going to work, although you never know with the NCAA, but this is a new NCAA. And I think this is why the plea is being made. If it was still Mark Emmert in charge, I'm not sure Mack Brown would have made this plea, because that was the old NCAA. That was a feckless NCAA. Emmert was a guy who hung on too long and didn't have the foresight to see all the changes coming that were coming. He rejected them, and that's why there's so much chaos in college sports. Charlie Baker's a guy that doesn't want chaos. His job is to rein the chaos in, but you have to do it reasonably. You just can't rule with an iron fist and make everything black and white. There is going to be some gray area with some issues, and I think that that's what the Tez Walker case is. So kudos to North Carolina. Kudos to Mack Brown for getting this out there in the manner that they did. Here's a young man who is feeling guilty about the publicity that this has brought on the program. He's feeling really bad that he's letting his teammates down. He feels like he made a mistake, and they're having to deal with him and comfort him all the time in practice. And they are operating, by the way, as if he's going to play against South Carolina in the opener. He's running with the starters, but at some point, this is a football decision. At some point, if they haven't heard anything, maybe they're going to have to scale back some of his reps to get some other guys reps to get them ready. So I don't think North Carolina's there yet. The Tar Heels still have 2.5 weeks before the opener. Wednesday will be practice number 13, and very soon they're going to start gearing themselves towards South Carolina prep. Maybe when they do that, they make that decision. They haven't done it just yet. And he needs to be on the field with the starting team, with the Blues. He needs it for his own mental health. Mack Brown said that last week when I asked him about it. So kudos to Carolina. And if Charlie Baker's listening to Mack Brown, perhaps it will be interesting to see. Perhaps something happens. It'll be interesting to see if something does happen, if there's an opportunity for somebody to ask Charlie Baker about this, or however this plays out. Maybe this thing works out in a couple of days in Tez Walker's favor. Maybe it doesn't. And I'll throw this last thing in there too. A lot of people have asked me, what happens if they don't approve his appeal? Well, Carolina can't take legal action, but Tez Walker can. So there would be an avenue for Walker if this is denied to take a step further. Carolina can't do that with him. But the public pressure, what we saw today, I think that would be amped up a little bit more. So I don't think Carolina's going to step down on this thing. They're going to keep pushing it. And I think that anytime Mack Brown gets asked a question about it, he's more than happy to talk about it and more than happy to direct comments at Charlie Baker. Anyway, that's it for this drop, guys. Make sure you go over to our site, TarHeelIllustrated.com, just $8.33 a month. You can be an insider too, and get to hang out in an amazing community with passionate Carolina fans like you. If you care deeply about UNC football and basketball and recruiting, that's the place to be, because everybody over there cares deeply too. They know a lot of stuff. Discourse is usually respectful. Sometimes it gets a little crazy, but it's still a phenomenal place for Carolina fans to hang out. And you get tons of inside information that we don't put on podcasts and we don't put in free front page articles. I'm Andrew Jones. Appreciate you stopping by.